on Instagram Live. So, hello everyone, my name is Lydia. So happy to be back here. I took a rest the past 2 weeks because my voice just went gone for like 48 hours, and before that I was knocked out cold with a cold. And so I was just taking a lot of time to rest, and it gave me a lot of reflections into what am I going to talk about next. And as you see, my title today is not about being a high vibration woman. It is about leading in love. Be the woman who changes everything. And yes, stay tuned for the end because I do have a very special announcement that I'm going to make to celebrate this month as Women's Month. Okay, so International Women's Day is coming up on Sunday, and I decided that instead of just celebrating one day off, why not celebrate a whole month, right? So this whole month I will be extending my free classes, which is normally about 30 to 40 minutes long. In my other previous programs, clients actually have to pay for a subscription, kind of like Netflix, in order to access the videos. But especially for more women, I am in this mode of servicing the community, letting more women be aware of the patterns that cause frequent fights, escalating conflicts over and over again. And it was only in the recent couple of months that I was able to finally crack the nut into how I can step out of it and how I can be the one leading the relationship in love. I'm not doing anything. I'm not the one, over explaining, sitting down my husband and let's do this, let's do that. I'm the one leading with the energy. And if you want to hear more, stay tuned with me. So, this is a very interesting topic because a lot of women, especially in Singapore, we are taught to be very like, go getter. If you want to be like the man, you have to, provide more. Okay, show your worthiness, make more money, perform more. It's everything is about more, especially from us. And we carry that kind of attitude from the workplace to our relationships. The funny thing is that there is a very inverse relationship between how you perform in work and in a relationship. If you choose to be performing the same way, yes, you may get like a lot of reviews and great performances, like work hard, hustle more. The boss asks you for more, you push for more. You will get that in the workplace, but in the relationship, it is a totally opposite game. It is the inverse relationship where instead you, as the woman, you are supposed to do much less. But nobody talks about this a lot because it is a truth that is very like, what am I supposed to do less? Like, doing less is lazy, doing less is, sitting on my laurels. What will happen to everything? All my balls in the house will drop. Like, there is actually absolute chaos because that's exactly how much women is holding in the family. They're holding the not just the mental labor, the physical labor. They're the one getting the groceries. They are also the one remembering kids' birthdays, planning birthdays, remembering when does the shampoo finishes. And if anybody is like, okay, mommy, I'm very angry, okay, then everybody turn to the woman as well. So she's holding the labor across emotional, mental, and physical. And it has never occurred to her that, hey, this frustration, this resentment that she has been building is because exactly she has been carrying on too much in the load. And this also spills into resentment towards a partner, especially. And a lot, especially if we observe in our previous generation, our parents and our grandparents, the woman is the one doing over functioning, where she is the one doing everything for the house. Okay, yes, the man is the one who provide the money, but physical labor wise, they just show up like that. The physical labor wise, maybe they provide the money, that sometimes and most of the time that their physical presence are out of the place in the house. Everything is the woman. So of course, needless to say, with so much things that shouldered on her, she grows very bitter, she grows very resentful. Okay, and that actually destroys the attraction between she and her husband because she feels so bitter with doing all the load. But this is when tonight I'm going to share with you that it isn't about fixing your husband. It isn't about fixing, or like, just dropping all the balls and just leaving the family entirely. Okay, there's like, God forbid. But it's about who you become in the relationship. That is how we can lead with love. That's why I talk about my opening is leading with love. It's not about, hey, you start operating. And I think a lot of successful women, especially when they climb up the C-suite, they apply the same techniques that got them the success in their in the corporate world. They bring it to the household and they say, yes, I run my household successfully. But as I said in earlier on, hey girl, okay, hello, as I said earlier on, is that they have an inverse relationship. If you function the way in your workplace, like in your household or in your relationship, it's going to destroy everything. It's going to destroy you. It's going to destroy the attraction between you and your partner. It's going to make you much less present as a mom. It will actually make you very bitter, very resentful. And then that's how you end up like a lot of patterns about, see, because of you, I couldn't do my career. You see, because of you, mommy had to do XXX. I have to be at home. I have to, because of you. A lot of that kind of trauma gets passed on to the kids, and the kids end up growing up feeling like they were burdened, feeling guilty, but this is not their fault. Okay, this is how we can choose to become the person in our relationship, be the woman who changes everything. And as I actually wrote in my stories today, so which is why I'm coming on a little bit later, was that I was actually reflecting, the decision to start being more authentically myself was a scary one, because I always knew that I had this side of me that was very opinionated, very like I know what I want kind of thing. But society and like being brought up with a lot of having a lot of noises in my head said that I was asking for too much, I was being too difficult, I was making other people's lives difficult. And if I want to be happy in I want to say my truth, it will come at the cost of making someone angry. It will come at the cost of making somebody disappointed. Okay, that suddenly I'm no longer this person that they can push and shove about. But I decided to still follow my intuition anyway. I decided to still stand up for myself. Okay, I decided to still step in and say that, hey, this is my boundaries. This is why my new standards. Like, you can't speak to me that way. Okay, rules in this house gotta be firm. If you're rude to me, I'm going to, I won't like be so like I wouldn't say explicit, but I would be very firm. And actually, there is a difference that you can actually choose to be kind and firm at the same time. And I think that's a very delicate balance, because we were always taught that if you're very firm, you're going to make somebody unhappy. And it's the, okay, if I say my boundaries, I'm going to disappoint somebody, I'm going to feel guilty, I'm going to be the one being angry. So we become very aggressive, overly aggressive. Then that's not loving anymore. Okay, that's not loving anymore. But on the other hand, if I'm too loving, I'm too soft. Okay, I'm too soft. And if I'm too soft, nobody's going to listen to me either. So what do women choose to do? They just keep quiet. They don't say anything. But it's exactly because this part of don't saying anything, suppressing your truth, suppressing who you are, suppressing what you want and what you need is not being expressed. Number one, you do not get your needs met in the relationship. You do not get your wants even more, because you do not voice them out. You do not even give people a chance. And I think I heard it over and over again that I'm afraid that I'll be disappointed if I don't get it. Okay, which I will address later on in this conversation. Okay, what happens if we do not get what we want? Okay, what happens if we do not get where we want? We shut down, we start thinking that we don't deserve it, that we're unworthy, that we stop saying it because what's the point? It's no use. But no, there is actually no use. Okay, so the truth is that in every relationship, okay, the man that we choose to marry is actually someone that we chose to spend our life with, and he has a responsibility to the relationship just like we are. Okay, just like we do. And our responsibility is what? It's not about doing more. It's not about pushing for things. It's not, hey, okay, let's do this. And like, because they face that in the workplace. Our men face that in the workplace. And can you imagine like coming back and facing to another dictatorship? I don't think anybody wants that. I don't think anybody wants that. Okay, so you got to shift your tactic. You got to shift the way you approach solving the problem, not in a masculine problem solving way, but in using your learning how to lean back, learning how to wait, learning how to speak less, not to over explain, yet you're very clear about what you want. And this requires a lot of clarity about what you want. Because if you're not clear about what you want, you won't be able to voice it. And I understand, especially, as busy moms, especially as being very busy women with work and family, often the schedule leaves you absolutely no time for you to be on your own. But this is a choice where you get to make. You get to choose, like, hey, I put the kids to sleep, I'm going down for a walk. I'm going down for a walk to clear my head, to know exactly like what is right and what is not right today. How am I going to do better the next day? Like, if I feel my boundaries were crossed, but in that exact moment I wasn't able to speak up, how can I speak up better the next time round I detect such a overstep of boundary? And with this awareness, being very conscious, you always make better decisions the next time round. Like, your body just automatically switches on that, like, hey, this is the time for you to activate your truth, and then all you do is just press the button, because you already have it prepared. You already have it prepared. Hey girl, okay, you already have it prepared what you are going to say, but that is provided that you have the time and the clarity for it. So I think a lot of us, we feel very guilty about taking time off. We feel too tired, and I fell in that as well. That when I was in this mode of like just over functioning and just doing, because there was a switch in my household where I don't have a helper, and everything in the house needed me to be doing the laundry, washing the clothes. I was so tired by the time I put the kids to sleep that I'll just go to sleep myself. The next morning I wake up and like life goes on. But it felt like it was very um it was very dry. Okay, I had absolutely no time for myself. I had no clarity. I was just working like a machine. And I think that ate me up. Okay, that definitely ate me up. There was a lot of resentment. There was a lot of bitterness. There was a lot of anger, was easily triggered as well. Okay, and this was not just by like just a couple of months of voice suppression. This was like, I think just a couple of months, so much less, especially those women who have been bearing a lot of weight for years. You cannot imagine how much things that they have to say, right? Okay, but the truth is that a man doesn't rise up because he is forced to. He rises up when the woman beside him chooses to be grounded, secure, safe, and self-led. We have to give space. We are the ones giving safetyness, emotional safetyness in the relationship. Okay. And sometimes when we feel like, hey, this relationship doesn't feel safe for me to say things. Okay, ask yourself, is it because I have not been saying the truthful things to myself? Always start with yourself. And I think that's a very challenging point, because we are always so quick to point the fingers. We're always so quick to, oh, I can't do this because, XXX is this. I can't do this because he's like that, so I react that way. We always so quick to point the finger onto somebody else and externalizing the problem. But in the midst of that, we lose the power. In the midst of that, we lose the power that when, if we actually choose to own the responsibility, the whole dynamics can shift. Okay, and I've experienced that for myself. So that's why it's a trial and error thing. Okay, he rises when the woman beside him becomes grounded. And I think learning to be grounded is something that's not done overnight. It's something that is done like always in the process. It actually, the beginning of my journey took about 5 years ago. When I stepped into the world of coaching, and I started regulating my nervous system with meditation and journaling and a lot of spiritual practices, and releasing of my emotion, my pent up energy, and so on. And even in the midst of this, I'm still doing it. I'm still working on myself, and it's always a work in progress. But if we never get to start the beginning, we will never get to see any fruits at all. Okay, so a man always, like, we think that we push them, but we nag at them. I think, okay, that's the worst thing. Like, and they nag at them, like, we over function, we over advise, we over guide, and it gives the man no room to step into his own leadership. I believe that every of the men that we marry is actually somebody that we admire to some extent. Like, maybe he has great values that you absolutely cherish. But because of the fact that you don't know how to nurture this part, you end up treating him like a child. He ends up seeing himself that way. And he's like, okay, like, this is the standard that I'm going to give, and that's what you're going to receive. So 40 years on, the woman is still over functioning in the relationship. She's the one directing, like 幕后做人. And the man just gets by like that all the way until the end, because it was something that she was never aware and conscious about. She always thought that, I'm supposed to keep giving and giving, she gets nothing from him. because of that, the man is just stuck at his potential. He never goes above and beyond. And the attraction between both of them is just as is what it is. Okay. So the point comes for you to decide, like, when I deserve more. I deserve more in the sense that I shouldn't be doing all the work. Okay. I want to focus on myself, but the focus on myself isn't about pushing, isn't about doing more, isn't about like bringing in more money. Okay, so that's one thing that a lot of women think, that I would have more worth. Okay, I'll stop fighting my husband if I bring more money, but that's not what they are looking for. Men are not looking for the woman to bring in more money. They're looking for that something else. Okay, and that something else is about safety, about feeling like, hey, like if I sit down with her, she makes me feel like all of the world's problems disappear. She makes me see that life can be so simple. She makes me see that, life, there's so many things to be grateful for, because they are out in the workplace hustling, performing, striving, pushing. When they come back, they want to be in a very safe place where they can put down their guard. And this is also a zone that is very difficult for most men, is that they feel safe to tell you about how they feel, that you know they can even tell you things, that maybe things won't work out, maybe like I will be rejected, but you are the one holding space for him. You are the one saying that it's okay, I'm here for you. Okay, and that is actually emotional intimacy in progress, because two real human beings get to be in the same space together. There is no overperforming. There is no like, okay, if you don't get this deal, then you are not worthy. There is nothing like that. If you make this mistake, it means that you are XXX. There is none of that. That happens in the workplace, but that is not what's happening in the relationship. The relationship is forgiving. It's very hey, sorry, I'll do better the next time, or like, okay, it's my fault, how can I make this up? Okay, or it's okay, I'll do better, or hey, you know what, I made this mistake, like, can you forgive me? Things like that. So much more human. Okay, so they feel a lot more safe. Okay, so many wise things that leading actually means about talking more, over explaining, trying harder, pushing harder. But real leadership in love, especially leading in love, it's about emotional steadiness. It's about when things shake. It's about when there's conflicts. How do you stand up for yourself? It's when there is arguments between yourself. How do you make your stand known without being too overbearing, without explaining too much? I think they really really don't like explaining too much. Like, it's just a whole blabbering of words to them, because we get driven into this emotional state and they cannot hear anything in their logical brain. It's also self-respect. It's about knowing what your standards are. And then that's when the man will always rise up. Men will only rise up for a woman in their life, and it's not their mother. And it's not their mother. Okay? It's also not about abandoning yourself just to keep the peace. And I was doing that. And I believe a lot of women doing that, because we were told that if we speak too much, we're gonna make somebody angry. Okay, in my case, a lot. Okay, in my case, a lot. Like, if I speak too much, I make somebody angry. Okay, so let's begin. First point, stop over functioning in love. Okay, over functioning means these three O's. Okay, over giving, over performing, and over explaining. Okay, the three O's. And this was something that I had to be very conscious with when it came to my awareness, that these were the three things that I was doing. And that's also kind of like when I lost my voice. Okay, I was like, okay, this is a sign for me to look inwards and to really discover about what am I doing too much. Because I lost my voice because I've been giving too much, right? And then that's when I came to this awareness that deal with the three O's: over giving, over explaining, over performing. This means like, hey, did you do this? Did you do? How come you never clean the kitchen windows today? And then you'll be like, oh, okay, okay. Yeah, I was doing the dishes, and then I was doing the laundry, and then I was also mopping the floor, and this is justifying. This is justifying. Point blank. Hey, why you didn't do the kitchen windows? I was really busy today. Let me do it tomorrow. That's it. You see, there's a difference. You see, there is a difference between these two. Okay. And this is exactly what happens, because when we actually over explain, okay, we are actually lowering our worth. You ever explain because you think that people don't get you with less words. but actually people get you more if you speak less. Okay, when we actually do everything, it actually lets the men actually do a lot less. And when men actually give less, because men are actually wired to give, we are wired to receive. But when we actually disrupt that polarity, it ends up being very not normal, and they're not activated in their leadership, they're not activated in their giving mode. And I've seen a lot of women where, oh, I don't wanna, it's like it makes it very difficult for my husband. It's too challenging for him. I don't think he can make it. Let me just be considerate. Okay, let me just be considerate, and it's okay. He can just, that is in the name of being considerate. Okay, it can also be a mask of this, of fear of disappointment. You are afraid that if he does not achieve what you wanted him to do, okay, you will feel disappointed, so you rather not request it. But that's absolutely wrong. The fact is that we always put out a request, and it is their responsibility in whatever way to attain it. Of course, we're not talking about, $1 million overnight. But if you're saying that this is my standards and this is what I want, they are going to find a way to do it because you have raised the bar. And men actually enjoy that challenge. As I said in my stories and in my high vibration videos, the men enjoy that challenge. But it's us that actually stop them from rising because we want to make their life easy. Why are we trying to make their life easy? Men are supposed to be challenged because when they're challenged, they always be better versions of themselves. And that keeps them very activated in the relationship with you because they know that you are always raising the bar for, they're always being better for themselves. And that's what is wired in their biology. Always being the survivor, always being the better one. We are the ones setting that standard. So never let your standards drop. If we choose to let our standards drop, it is because we fear that. There's always a fear behind it. And what is that fear? Tons of it. Okay, so when you actually overfunction, you overgive, you overguide, you say that let me just do everything for you because maybe we've seen our parents or our grandparents say that this is how the woman should be like. She's supposed to keep giving in order to have more. And I think a lot of us have that, like, I need to give more to receive more. That is actually not that really makes him step back because there's only so much things in a relationship that anybody that it needs to be done. So you should be letting him carry the physical weight of it, but you are doing the emotional weight of it. You are being the emotional anchor. You are the one holding your grounds when things get rough. You are the one when triggers are being set. You are not the one that explodes. You are the one that knows how to navigate between the resentment, and when there is misalignment, you are the one to signal out that, hey, something is not right here, like let's do, like, I don't like how this is going and I don't see how, you are the one being that compass. He's the one doing the physical weight. Okay, hey girl. Okay, so stop over functioning in love, over giving, over performing, over explaining. Okay, and it requires a lot of conscious. After I actually got very aware on these three O's that I was doing, the next time around, whenever I was showing up my relationship, I was always like, when I get tempted into like over explaining, I'll just stop myself, and I'll just shift it. I'll just shift it to a one liner. Hey, why didn't you do the dishes? I was tired last night. Let me do it tomorrow. Okay, I want to go to sleep. Let me do it tomorrow. That's it. No need to explain that. Oh, I was washing the floor, and then the kids were very tired, so I had to do this. No need. No need to say the whole mother story. All right. Initially, there will especially after a very long period of time where you've been giving the three O's, there will be fights, there will be triggers, because they have been so used to this version of you that anything less than that seems alien. Anything less than that, it seems strange. So things are going to shake up. How are you going to deal with it? Story for another day, which is definitely in my 5-week group coaching program. Okay. So number 2, emotional regulation is attraction. And as I said earlier, is that men are attracted to safe harbors. They are attracted to groundedness, emotional regulation. That's why it's very important for us to have our own inner garden. Okay, and I want to talk about this because it's very important for us to have our own inner garden, a place where it nurtures our soul. We love doing this. It's not because it's related to the kids, it's related to the family or the husband, it's related to who we are. And I think I had that experience just a couple of weeks ago where I went on this rampage of, because I felt, you know, so low nourished myself, right? Hey girl, yeah, sawadee. I felt so low nourished on my own soul. And I asked myself, like, how am I not nurturing my own interests? And that was when I decided to, go for art gallery, National Gallery, where they were having in the modern, which was impressionist artwork from Boston. I went there alone. I started spending, going Gardens by the Bay by myself, like because I really wanted to see the some of the exhibition, like the flowers, right? Myself. Not with the kids, not dragging the kids around, not dragging the husband around, who's always like, hey, hurry up, it's just flowers. Like I wanted to take my time to appreciate the beauty. I went alone. Yeah, yeah, I know. Yeah. Okay, to appreciate the beauty. Yeah, sawadee ka. Yeah. And and then there was another time. Where did I go? Gardens by the Bay, to Monet. And there was one more that I went to. I cannot remember what it was. Oh, I went to this Titanic exhibition because I saw it in the news and it was also leaving. And this really nourished myself. I felt so enriched. I felt so joyful because I was able to identify with what I wanted and what I did not like. Because when you go out by yourself, it's like you don't have this distracting noises. You are not in the mode of like servicing the family, so you have space to think for yourself. And there was a lot of reflections about like, okay, this is what I want, this is not what I want, how can I do better the next time? And then, so when the next time round there was a boundary being crossed, whether somebody said the wrong thing, which is going to happen anyway, okay, in the household, I stood up very firmly. Like even if it's to my sons, I said that, hey, you cannot speak to mommy that way. Okay. And they really um their sense of the one thing is that they learn boundaries a lot from me. Especially they were all going a stage of like learning boundaries. The younger one was learning about emotional regulation, dealing, how to say no to friends, and not taking no's personally. The elder one was going through like, when is it an intentional push or accidental push. And of course with the husband, it's about knowing where, knowing my personal space. Saying the like I say that, after 9 is like no longer, I'm not available. It's either my person, I'm to any house stuff. Okay, it's in my only my personal time. So when it started becoming very clear to me when I have this time and space alone. But when you're always crowded around with people, with work, you're always making yourself busy. You do not have the capacity to think that. That is the reason. And I think a lot of women, we actually feel guilty about taking time for ourselves. It's the same thing like in the corporate place, you only have limited leave. And if you have to take leave, right, it's always because of somebody else. That's why it occurred to me that like, why am I not taking more leaves? Okay, not that I have to take leave, but why am I not taking more time out for myself where I'm just going out by myself? It's always like it's either like I'm trying to do some work thing, or having to complete some home errands and yada yada. So I decided to take a pause on that, and it was so enriching that those 3 weeks. So have an inner garden where it's no access even to the men and the children. It's where you are. We start to remember who you are as a person before you have kids. Start to remember what were the things that you love. Maybe you love hiking, you love running, you are a marathoner, you were like this fitness buff. Maybe you love to interact with animals. Maybe there's so many hobbies that anybody can pick up. And always connect with that self as who you are, so that whenever like you go into the relationship with your husband, or you go into relationship with your children, or with relationship with your work, with your co-workers, you always can step out and know that like, this is who I am. No, this is who I am, this is who I am not. If not, you're always being blended into all these environments, and soon your identity will be lost as well. That's what leads to a lot of resentment and bitterness for a lot of women when they actually over service the whole family. If they feel like they have been born to service, they either get very resentful, or they end up being lost in it for years. Okay, because they start to normalize it. So emotional regulation, like blah, 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 go back. Okay, it kept me very regulated, it kept me very anchored. And especially when we had conflicts, of course sometimes there are more like there will be like spitfires between each other, but I will always be able to take the time, have some space, and I come back being very clear minded, like this is what is happening. This is what I think we should move forward with, this is what I think we should let go. And that was emotional leadership, because emotional intelligence is an intuition, is a skill set that we all have, that all we all women have. But if we function like the men, the guy will feel like, they are in a relationship with another guy. There is actually no reason for, and they start competing, they start, you know either hustling, or they start slacking off because the standards are not there. And that is our responsibility. Our responsibility is to uphold the emotional standards in the relationship. Okay, saying that this is more what my needs are, this is what my wants are, and there is no negotiation about it. There's no negotiation that it's not important or it's like a secondary thing. No, it is important to me. Okay, and it's important to me, and you better figure a way out how to get it fulfilled, which they all will, but only if we are firm enough with that standards. All right. So I learned to be a lot less reactive because I had my this inner garden that I could always retreat to. I was listening audios that were talking, that was about how to keep my calm. I was after the kids sleep, I was listening to videos when I go downstairs for my night walks. It made me a bit more. I was, in a sense, a bit more busy because instead of just sleeping, but I was so much more conscious. I was so much more aware, and it was so enlightening and refreshing for me. I was listening to audios even when I was driving the car to pick up my kid, and it was this inner voice in me that it was always there to say that, hey, this is the right way, this is not the right way. And and in just a couple of weeks there were a lot of clarity, there was a lot of progress, okay, as compared to a few couple of weeks ago when I was so undernourished. I was very lost. I was feeling the emotional weight on me. I was being very, very, very tired. And I just was very exhausted, like emotionally and physically. And just like no amount of sleep was enough to recoup the physical tiredness. All right. So when we actually have a calm nervous system and we learn to be very stable and grounded, it makes the men very safe with us, as I mentioned earlier on. It makes them very want to come to be with you, because like you are just this person who there's no performance, there's no overgiving, there is no need to say too much, there is no need to um like okay, like this is the results, okay, who's gonna bring in the moment. There's no competition either. Okay, they get to be who they are, as human as they are. Okay, and when we actually learn how to self-control our own emotions instead of like blabbering into this either emotional drama or emotional suppression, which is also not healthy either way, is it teaches them also that it's safe to speak up. It's also safe to speak up initially, especially at the beginning, after so long of just say being defensive, especially a couple that always been in conflicts with one another. If you start to go on this suddenly start speaking the truth, it feels very strange. So there will be, not, of course there will be defensiveness, there will be like some belittling, maybe even, or maybe even some mean remarks. But it's not about you. It's about the fact, it's not about you having the feelings that's why it is demeaning. It is about you learning to stand up for yourself and saying what you need, and then that's it. Okay, it doesn't matter what the other person's take is going to be like, and that's not your responsibility. It's not your responsibility, and I think a lot of us, we end up taking it as a personal attack if it's not received well. But that's not our job. Our job is just being able to speak up the way, the right things to us that matter to us, and whatever that the result is going to be on the receiving end is not our issue. It's the same thing of how we say anything as well. Like I can be working with a client, and if she's very triggered by the things that I say, or she's very triggered by my energy, no amount of explaining is going to work. Okay, I just need to say what I think is right, and if she's ready for it, and if she's not ready, then signs will be there to show that she's not ready to receive it, and it's okay. It's just that everybody response is different. Okay, and there is no way how we can control the response. All our duty is, and our job is just to show up for ourselves. Okay, so of course we're going to talk about how you're going to work on emotional regulation in my 5-week group coaching program. Okay, and lastly, the third one is the very important one, which I talk about in my stories today, is to become the emotional standard. Okay, teach standards without control. We all grew up with standards, and like if you have to do this, if you don't do this, there will be punishment. Like that was what happened in school, right? If you don't um, if you don't get uh, um, if you don't come home on time, there's a curfew. We have all these standards that happen to us, And when you actually apply that kind of masculine standards in the relationship, it destroys the attraction. It makes it feel like it's another workplace again. And it's like, where's the compassion? Where's the vulnerability? Where's the emotional intimacy? So there are standards that can be held, but we do it without control. Okay, sounds ironic, but it's true. There are standards that we can have, but we do it without control. It's a delicate balance. We can also have boundaries with no drama. Boundaries, this is clear, this is my rule, and there will be no overcrossing. That's it. Okay? Hey, right? There can be boundaries with no drama, and there can be self-worth without arrogance. Oh, I absolutely, absolutely love this, because people think that if you are self-worthy, and if you know about, like, okay, like for example, I'm very protective about my nighttime, because I need to have very good sleeping cycle. And if I'm very firm on that boundary, I can do it without, hey girl, okay, I can do it without being arrogant. I can say, no, this is what I want. I think a lot of people mistaken self-worth and knowing what you want as arrogant, because we grew up we are in a society where everybody is saying yes to each other. We are living in a society where, like, we're living in a society where everybody says that you have to say yes in order to be well liked. Okay, and that if you actually choose to have boundaries, it is being rude, it's being arrogant, it's being too much opinion, whatever. Like, I've heard all of those stuff. Okay, but the key thing is that, hey yo, okay, but the key thing is that the woman that any of the men rises up for, okay, and when we choose to be the woman who changes everything, is when we have the um emotional steadiness. Is the woman who does not collapse. Okay, that means in spite of triggers, in spite of fights, you still continue facing, you still continue, hey, so many people, okay, you still continue being the one that says that this is my emotional needs, this is my emotional wants, and this is my standard. It's either this or nothing else. This is my priority needs, and I deserve to have this. Okay, I deserve to have this. If when you're able to speak with that kind of audacity, knowing, and worthiness back behind it, it's not even a script. Okay, it's not even a script. It's like you have made such clear thoughts, okay, and into knowing that this is what you want, and you will not accept anything less than that. You have set the bar so high. Okay, and when you set the bar so high, sit back and watch how it happens, how it unfolds in the following week, where you see him being the best version of himself. Okay, and it's so moving. It's so like, wow, I can have that kind of influence. And it's so like, both of you are being your best version. And I don't think there can be any better relationship when two people are just, you know, improving on themselves in their own journey. It's not like, hey, for you, I'm like being the one that's nagging at you to eat less, to exercise more. It's like none of that. It's like you are your own discipline master. I am my own discipline mistress. We are walking on our own journey, dealing with our own issues in our own part, because everybody has their own soul journey, even within partners. And I think the not the worst thing, but the mistake that many women think is that my partner has to be with me in this journey. My partner has to be the one, like, hearing all my problems, hearing how I go through like a girlfriend, and knowing all my dark secrets, and knowing all the pain that I had. Okay, so that was kind of like a mistake that I made as well. Okay, knowing all the pain I had, but no, it's totally different, because the kind of trauma that you had is very different from him. So both of you and y'all will have very different timing of awakened, and also the mode of being awakened is also very different. Okay, maybe to you it can hit like a brick in terms of relationship, but for him it is during work, when he starts to face certain challenges in his work, and he starts to question himself, maybe there is some issue that I need to unblock. It comes through to different people, even in the most closest of relationship. So don't try to steer his boat. Don't try to like pull him for therapy. Don't try to like, hey, we should read this book. Okay, which was a mistake I made as well. But I'm so glad it didn't happen. Don't try to do any of things, because the universe is gonna take care of it. Like, he has his own path to go. You also have your own path to go, and it's very fulfilling when both of you are like, hey, I watch you do this, so I like I think we today, because my husband has been really like great at working out. That was very impressive. The discipline. I think we had like a whole table of like Chinese New Year goodies. Like, no, none of us even dare to open to touch. I just packed it on a bag. I just gave it to my dad, because like And that was how like committed we both were to being healthy. He was very committed to like working out, I think close to like 3 to 4 times a week. Okay, no alcohol, no fried food. And even when I shared with him in during dinner, I said that, hey, like, you can, if you don't mind, you eat like a little bit left over of my noodle, my noodle soup. And he was, then I said that, especially we are exercising a lot, we want to, and then for me, I was eating my steamed vegetables every single day, my 2 eggs, super healthy lunch, no oil, no fats, no nothing, and then also exercising. And today, like I went to the gym, I decided to increase to 2 times a week anyway, starting from next week onwards. It was very, it's very nice because we were both going in our own journey, but yet we are also kind of like looking at each other how we are growing as well. So I think it's a very and then you all start to share about things and start to open up, being vulnerable, being like saying that, hey, I'm trying my best, but I don't know how it's gonna happen. I may be rejected. It's okay. And you are like, it's okay to be rejected. Like as long as you're trying your best, and that itself was good enough. Like the outcome doesn't matter. That itself is good enough. Okay, so those are the three things. Okay, stop over functioning in love. Learning how to regulate your emotions is your primary job, because in the end you are the one holding the emotional standard. So these are like, there was one, emotional regulation number two, and then number three, because you have to hold the emotional standard. If you are emotional wreck, if you're always creating drama, or if you're always suppressing your truth and not speaking, the relationship dies. The relationship dies because there's no communication. And then after, what happens is that there will be suppression, and then like you're not speaking your truth, and then one day there'll be explode and all these problems come out, and he's like, where did it come from? He'll be like caught off guard, and then you'll be just filled with so much resentment and bitterness, which is of course me. Okay. And then the relationship goes nowhere. It's like an accumulation of problems over and over and over again. Okay, so I think it's pretty late anyway, but I think there were still some people that pop in and out. So I thank you very much for coming in. And my 5 week coaching program is going to be launching in end March. I think from now until end March, I'm just going to I'll be producing posts as well. I gotta figure out how to do that, especially with the very little time that I have. But leading in love, be the woman who changes everything, is an initiation to be the change maker, to be the person who says that, yes, I'm the one who's going to make the change. It's gonna be, there'll be bricks that's gonna come. Okay, but I'm going to share with you inside this container how you are going to tackle these problems. Okay, this is not, it's not therapy, it's not emotional healing. Emotional healing is like totally different route altogether. This is going to have just 3 classes, but hybrid. It's gonna be like live classes of 20 minutes, but then there will also be live coaching. There will be a WhatsApp group that I will be creating so that I can hear about your problems, and we can keep you accountable on your implementation. And I think as a start, I'm actually going to, the whole point is actually to share about awareness, and about the 3 O's I mentioned, right? Over performing, over giving, over explaining. And if we actually don't point it out, I think a lot of women, we are so sucked into that, we don't even think that it's a problem. But when the moment that you start to see that it's a problem, it's like you cannot unsee anymore. You cannot unsee anymore. And I'm here exactly teaching you to see that problem. Like it or not, I'm going to help you see that pattern. Okay, so 3 classes, which includes, is going at a very affordable price, but from now until I'll be rolling out a line love audit, which is free 20-minute calls with me about the problems that you're having in your relationship, what are the jarring issues, and what is exactly leading to it, and how we can overcome it together, just inside the coaching program, which is a 3 classes in 5 weeks. Okay, and I think that is really late night right now, and that's all that I have today, and see you guys for the next class. And once again, happy International Women's Month. Let's end this. There we go. And then